Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. We are continuing on with our Building Better campaign series. In particular, we are sticking with the Kung Fu campaign run. Now, talked about a little bit about how you want to capture the aesthetic for this setting, and one part that just is absolutely maybe not necessarily essential, but certainly features as such a key component to so many classic martial arts movies, manga, anime, stories in general, is the martial arts tournament. Now, the martial arts tournament presents us with so many great opportunities for gameplay, and really, the Kung Fu styled campaign, that East Asian martial arts themed setting, your old school 70s Kung Fu movies, just is really a rich setting that I feel like doesn't get played around with as much as it probably could be. Part of that's just because the setup for a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, hell, even if you're taking a look at D20 Modern or even Shadowrun, it's just focused so much on more of a westernish sort of mindset or kind of conception of fantasy and the like. Really, I just don't quite see so many things just embrace that over the top, sometimes cheesy, sometimes hilarious, sometimes just outright so bad it's good type of martial arts action. And it's a shame, but it's also a great opportunity to bring something new for your players. Now, on top of having the martial arts tournament and wanting to capture the aesthetic for this type of setting, one thing that you absolutely want to do as you're running this game is for the players to feel like their characters are badasses. Now, ideally, you should be working with your players to kind of help them feel like they're absolutely awesome, like they're exceptional martial artists, like their characters are these deadly fighting machines. Um, and you should do this by helping them build their characters. But when you're running the game, don't be afraid to throw a bunch of low level thugs at them. And think about so many great classic martial arts movies like, oh gosh, any like Ong Bak, The Protector, gosh, The Raid. Oh god, The Raid, Redemption. Absolutely brutal and devastating martial arts on display there, but a lot of the thugs to start off with are just absolutely minor people in comparison to the fighters that they're going up against. It's like all of them, one or two hits, they go down, bones are broken, bodies are sent flying. And you want to capture this sort of feeling over the course of gameplay. You want to send wave after wave of thugs at these characters. They don't necessarily all have to be fought, and you don't have to necessarily give the characters an exact number. Just let them know they're surrounded by this sea of bodies, armed and unarmed, just brutal, rough, and harsh looking, and with this deadly glint in their eyes, letting them know that without a doubt that these people are here to absolutely mess them up and probably even just flay them alive right there on the spot. But that just makes the action all that much more exciting. I mean, there are so many great kung fu movies where the protagonist, the hero, well, maybe not always the hero of the story, but they just start flying through people, just fists, elbows, knees, kicks, and they just tear through everybody. And to capture this, you do this by throwing these low level thugs that are going to be going down in just one or two hits, depending on how big the level disparities are. But one other thing that you can do to help enhance this feeling is to relax some of the rules regarding attacks of opportunity, because you want to reflect that the characters are much more skilled than the swarm of opponents facing them right now. So, when they go flying through these people, or if they could just start bum rushing the players can just start going all fists of fury and just absolutely start laying people out. You know, as the opponents come down on top of them, attacks of opportunity using feats like combat reflexes will really help the characters to feel like they're just absolutely wrecking machines. Even better when you couple this with cleave and flurry of blows and the like. This will absolutely allow the bodies to just start flying everywhere. Now, as far as I know, cleave doesn't necessarily stack with flurry of blows, but again, you can definitely, especially for the setting, because it fits the motif and the flavoring of it all, you can absolutely relax some of the more stringent rules regarding some of these feats just to allow the players to have that moment of feeling like they're just such utter badasses. I mean, that's the whole point of the setting, and that's the whole point of having swarms, gangs of these enemies just coming straight at them, and it goes a long way towards capturing that feeling. Now, you know, you're not going to do this in every single case because, you know, once it's become clear to the local crime boss or the whatever Lord Militant or governor is in charge that's employing these mercenaries, these low-level street thugs to deal with local problems, provide and act as muscle on the streets for them. Once they realize that they're dealing with a threat that's significantly a cut above what the run-of-the-mill street thug is, or whatever sort of box standard troops that they have available to them, they're going to start bringing in experts, specialists to deal with these problems. Think of the kung fu comedy, well, Kung Fu Hustle. You have the Axe Gang. Most of the Axe Gang just does not stand up to any of the martial arts masters that are present near the beginning there. They absolutely get wrecked left and right, and they're coming in armed, and these are hardened gangsters, people who make a living, you know, fighting and killing on the streets. But when they come up against the Master of 12 Kicks and all these, the other two martial arts masters, don't remember the styles, but you have the oh, you have the guy from the clothes shop throw on the iron rings. Damn cat. Hello, Enzo. And then you also have the baker, the cook. He comes out with his staff, and the three of them just tear through tides of the Axe Gang. But then, once the boss realizes that this is a real problem, he hires specialists and brings in the two musicians, and they practice their art. And they make an interesting adaptation for the bard class, if you want to take the time to bring something like that in. But these two hitmen that they hire, using their abilities, they prove to be more than a match between the two of them for all three of these masters. Granted, they attack them. They attack the Master of 12 Kicks first, and then they end up dealing with the other two together. But between the two of them, they are absolutely overwhelmed those masters of these disparate martial arts styles. It's not until the two landlords step in and reveal that they are at an even higher level of masters, and they mop the floor with the two hitmen that were hired. And it's that degree of escalation that you want to go for over time. It's just like with any other game, but this just kind of fits with that styling of the martial arts campaign, where deadlier and deadlier and deadlier opponents are brought in, to the point that you're bringing in what are local legends, essentially, or even legends within the particular nation that the players are running around in. And depending on the pacing and flow and the type of story you're wanting to go for, it may not be appropriate for when the players do finally meet whatever the legend is, whatever your version of the beast is from Kung Fu Hustle. The players are probably not going to beat them right away. It may just be all they can do to fend him off long enough to figure out a way to escape, especially if there are going to be swarms of other lesser opponents coming in. While the players can easily deal with them on their own, this still creates openings for whatever this big badass evil guy is that you have bearing down on them. Or heroic figure if the players are on the more evil spectrum of things. But the point remains is that these smaller swarming enemies, these weaker swarming enemies, create an opportunity for the absolutely lethal killers that you have in play for the game here. But all of this adds up to a setting where the characters, the players, are going to be feeling like they really are the focal point of the story, and it's going to just really capture the essence of a good kung fu story. And don't be afraid to flavor and pepper it too with all different kinds of descriptions of things, and don't be afraid to add, adapt and get outlandish with everything. I mean, just watch any of the old martial arts flicks from the 70s and the 80s, just how crazy things could get. I mean, how many movies have there been? I can't remember the title, and I probably should have looked it up beforehand, but essentially there was a martial arts tournament held in China, and all these masters and top tier students from the various schools were going to be showing up, and the Japanese were involved and were sending one of their best samurai over to fight. But because the shogun wanted to make sure that the Japanese came out on top, sent just a swarm of ninjas along too to start picking off these different Chinese and Korean masters of their own respective martial arts in order to wipe the field and clear it enough so that the samurai was going to be all but guaranteed his win. And well, ends up finding out about this and teams up with the Chinese top martial artists, and they wipe out the entire ninja clan that was sent after him. And when I say outlandish, there's a particular scene where the head of this group of ninja ends up getting decapitated, and his head is impaled on a bamboo pole, and it still takes about a minute, and it says something. Forget the exact line, but then the head just detonates in a devastating explosion. And all the while, these characters, they're losing arms, they're taking grievous wounds where they're absolutely a normal person would be bleeding to death. But you can reflect this as you play with the characters. Even if they take these hits, even if they take this deep stab wound between the ribs, or if the arm gets hacked in such a way that the hand is just dangling from this useless bleeding stump, the player you should allow the player character, maybe make a fortitude save here or there, but don't tell them, but throw in like their character level on top of it as a bonus to reflect whether or not they have the physical and mental fortitude to carry through that grievous wound, and then just turn right around and take that stump and just drive that ragged bit of bone through their opponent's face or something like that. However brutal or devastating you want this to be, however outlandish and ridiculous, the goal is to capture that feeling and make the players feel like their characters are just unbelievably badass. And that's the whole point of running around in this fictional fantasy setting. So many things that you can do, but those are just my thoughts on making and capturing the feeling for this. There's certainly more that we can do. I mentioned before adapting certain classes, and I'm going to be expanding more on that in our next video here. But for now, I want to find out, did you enjoy this video? I'm trying to make things just a little bit shorter around here. I'm wondering if the format is working out for you guys. If so, please comment down below. And if it's not, well, still, comment down below. Give me that feedback. Tell me what it is you like, what you don't like, what you're enjoying, what you want to see more of, and what you'd like to see less of. Even if the comment's something snarky as hell, like you want to see less of my face on YouTube, leave it down there. I'll contradict it. Probably. I don't know. But, well, I'll discuss it. Let's put it that way. I'll discuss it with you guys. Enough of being a smart aleck out of me. Once again, I have been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. If you did like this video, maybe consider liking it. And if you've been enjoying the content so far, go ahead and head on down there and maybe click that subscribe button there for me. I can always use more viewers, more subscribers, and I promise to keep on uploading content here to this channel. And just so you know when I upload that content, click the bell icon there so that way YouTube's more likely to notify you the next time something comes up live here. But other than that, thank you all very much for your time. You guys have yourselves a great night. Yeah, darn cat. Ah!